A fund's fact sheet can tell you its returns. It can tell you its expense ratio. What it can't tell you is whether the person actually managing your money still believes in what he's doing, especially after a bad year. That's the part that only comes out in a room, face to face. So what does that conversation actually look like? Most investors assume fund selection stops at the numbers, past returns, ratings, maybe a star rating from an app. And numbers matter. But numbers are backward-looking. They tell you what happened, not what's likely to happen next. And they definitely don't tell you whether the fund manager is still the right person to be driving. That's why a serious selection process doesn't stop at the spreadsheet. It includes an actual conversation, a due diligence meeting. And that conversation is built around a specific set of questions. Here's what those questions are actually trying to find out. 1. Does the fund manager still believe in the current portfolio? Or is conviction quietly cracking? The first thing a due diligence conversation tries to surface is conviction. Anyone can hold a stock when it's going up. The real test is whether the fund manager can explain clearly, specifically, why he still owns something that hasn't worked yet. A manager who says, "Give it time, here's exactly why," is very different from one who's vague or defensive. This matters because a fund manager who's lost conviction in his own picks, even quietly, often makes worse decisions from here. Chasing performance, over-diversifying to hide, or exiting positions too early out of nerves rather than analysis. 2. Is there redemption pressure building underneath the fund? This one isn't about the fund manager's opinion at all. It's about money flows. If a large amount of money is steadily leaving a fund, the manager may eventually be forced to sell stocks he doesn't want to sell yet, just to meet redemptions. That's a very different risk from the market went against him. A due diligence conversation checks whether outflows are a real, sustained trend or just short-term noise, because sustained outflows can quietly erode a fund's ability to execute its own strategy, no matter how good that strategy is on paper. 3. Has there been, or is there likely to be, a change in the people managing the fund? A fund's track record belongs to the person who built it, not just the fund's name. If the fund manager who delivered the historical numbers has left, or is likely to leave, or if the underlying research team has been quietly hollowed out, that history becomes far less predictive of the future. This is one of the most direct questions asked in these meetings. Is the team that earned this track record still the team running the money? Because a name on a fact sheet can outlast the person who made it worth following. 4. Has the fund grown too large or too concentrated to keep doing what made it work? Size sounds like a good problem to have, but it isn't always. A fund that built its edge by taking meaningful positions in smaller, less liquid companies can lose that edge once it's grown so large that those same positions become hard to build or exit without moving the price. Due diligence conversations probe this directly. Can you still execute your original style at this size? Or are you being forced into larger, more benchmark-like names just because there's nowhere else to put the money? A manager who's honest about hitting that ceiling is worth more than one who pretends size changes nothing. 5. Does an independent, second set of eyes reach the same conclusion? No single conversation should be the whole basis for a decision, including this one. A rigorous process builds in a second, independent check. Another senior person, separate from the first conversation, asks many of the same questions again, without seeing the first person's notes in advance. The goal isn't politeness or box ticking. It's catching a case where one meeting created an overly favorable or overly harsh impression that a second, unbiased conversation wouldn't reach on its own. Where the two views disagree, that disagreement itself becomes useful information. Here's a simplified, illustrative scenario, not a real fund, and no promise this outcome repeats. Say a fund has underperformed its category for the past year. In the due diligence conversation, the manager candidly explains, to specific holdings didn't play out as expected, he's still holding them because the underlying reasoning hasn't changed, and there's been no change to the core team. Outflows are modest. Redemption pressure is low. On its own, a one-year number would look discouraging. But the conversation reveals a manager holding his ground for explainable reasons, with a stable team and no forced selling risk, a very different picture than the number alone would suggest. That's the value this step adds. Context the numbers can't give you. Past returns tell you what a fund did. A real due diligence process tries to find out whether the person and the process behind those returns are still intact. And that only comes from asking directly in a room. If you've ever wondered what actually goes on behind a fund's selection beyond the fact sheet, that's a conversation worth having. The link below has more on how we approach it. Thanks for watching. Check out the video description. We've packed it with resources just for you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs it.